Hey, welcome back to Mocktails with Marina. I'm your host, Marina, and today we're going to talk about a question that every non-alc business owner wrestles with at some point. How much do I really need to be online? This is such a hot topic because, to be super real with you, there is so much noise out there. You're going to see one brand posting reels 5 times a day, another one cranking out a bunch of TikToks, another one dropping newsletters, ads, podcasts, lives, collaborations, and it's a lot. And if you're like most founders, you're probably wondering, do I need to keep up with this? Am I behind? Who is the standard? What to do? Here's a short answer. No, you're not behind. No, you do not need to keep up. And today I'm going to tell you why. And this specific episode is number 89 for the Mocktails with Marina podcast, which still feels so surreal to say out loud. Technically, this is my second podcast. My first one was called The Tranquilities, and this is a project I started when I was still performing and producing events. That show had 41 episodes, and it was really about exploring creative flow through the lens of love, beauty, and pleasure. That's actually still up on Spotify and all the places too, so you can check it out if you want. Definitely a very different context, younger me. But between those two podcasts, I have been able to magnetize and pull in over $100,000 worth of revenue. And the kicker about this is that we were able to do so, I independently, then we, as in me and my husband, because, not because of followers, okay? I've never had, as of the recording of this episode, I've never had more than 6,000 followers on any platform while accomplishing these numbers. So that's why I want to point that out. Like, it's very, like, it's not as big of an effort as you would kind of think. It's all about strategy. So if you're listening right now and you've been stressing that you don't have enough followers or you don't have enough time to post every single day, this episode is going to give you some relief. I'm going to walk you through what my system looks like, why it works, and how you can decide your own level of online presence based on your season. Now, I want to note you're going to hear me kind of switch between my/our because, again, the first podcast I made, Tranquilities, I did back in the day when I had a different coaching business by myself. I was working with dancers and producers. Mocktails with Marina is a podcast that is connected to the Modern Mocktail, a company I run with my husband. Now, all of this being said, we have multiple strategies for marketing. We have multiple funnels set up, if you will. So this $100,000 figure is something I want to show you just using this one technique and using this with again, less than 6,000 followers at any given time for all of this. And all of this being said, it takes me maybe a couple hours a week to put a podcast episode together. I can typically batch a month's worth of content in a day, even more sometimes if I was really feeling it. So it's not, we're going to dive into the details. Let's just stay there. So let's start with this. I personally chose to build our business around a weekly audio only podcast. As you know, there is no, that's it. There's no video. And even if you go to YouTube, it's still just an audio. It's not even a live stream version. Even when I interview people, it's audio only. And the reason for that is super simple. I, as a content creator, wanted my life back. And I wanted to be able to spend more time in the business with our clients. And then when not clocked in, more time with my husband and family, right? I didn't want to spend hours every week setting up lighting, then putting on makeup, worrying about what I looked like, editing video clips, chasing trends. I just wanted to talk. And I knew my people just wanted to listen. One weekly podcast episode became the backbone of our entire content strategy for our consultation firm. So here's how it works. Every single week, we have one topic, right? So this week's topic, we're talking about specifically what is online presence, right? So all of the content that gets recorded on this topic gets released not only in this podcast, but then any content I end up creating that goes into our Instagram or anything else, our newsletters, it's all related. So everything else in the business flows from there, right? Because that one episode prompts the weekly newsletter, and then that'll prompt more reels and carousels. If I feel creatively inspired, or if I'm running a launch that ties into the podcast topic, it may be even more than that, but it doesn't even have to be. Like if I don't have the energy, if I'm not creatively inspired to make additional content, that's okay. I don't owe the algorithm my entire life. I can coast. I can literally just do one podcast, post one thing on Instagram, make one newsletter that is already all templated out because it's the same similar thing with different topics every week. So again, I can do all of our marketing in 2 hours or less, period. The podcast keeps us from scatterbraining our content in general. So when we have our meetings behind the scenes on, what we want to convey, we get to be focused. One theme per week. And honestly, it's been a sanity saver. And if you don't like short form content, if you don't want to be glued to TikTok trends, you don't have to be. The key is having one platform where you show up consistently, one medium that you do. And for me, that's podcasting. For you, it might be something else. It's just an example I'm going to keep using throughout this episode because, some people think that it's so extra, but in my eyes, I'm like, everything else is so extra. The takeaway here is simple. You don't need to be everywhere. You just need to be somewhere consistently. Okay. Podcasting is the medium that I am consistently showing up. And I want to mention too, when you post a podcast and you're using like some sort of syndication platform, it goes to all these different places, right? So you can tune in here, Spotify, Apple, Amazon or Audible, YouTube, all the different things, iHeartRadio. Like you can hear this everywhere, but I only have to upload it to one place and it goes everywhere for me. So that being said, let me talk to you about the paid ad backbone because I'm not going to sit here and pretend this is all organic content. So this is the secret sauce behind the scenes. I've had the same exact ad running for almost 2 years straight. No exaggeration. This is insane because most ads do not last this long for most companies, right? So this one ad that we've been running for 2 years straight, it is not a fancy reel. It's not a new video every week. It's literally just the podcast cover as a carousel with 9 additional slides that feature some of the episodes that I've released, all designed to show the variety of topics that we cover. And that's it. It runs in the background all the time at $5 to $10 per day, and it quietly funnels people into my world. So here's how it works. Someone sees the ad, they click to check out my profile and check out the podcast, then they listen, then they follow me, and from there they usually sign up for my newsletter. And here's the wild part. 100% of our clients, like every single one, has listened to the podcast before they signed up for a course, a program, or any sort of private support. Like this is the thing that, even though I know I'm not talking to you directly in your car or in your house or wherever you're at right now, but it is the deepest we can get, right? This is so much more than a 90-second clip on Instagram. Like I can go deep with you. You can understand where our support kind of comes from. You understand our business if you've listened to enough of our episodes, and it's enough to help people convert into either being our clients or getting what they need and then moving on with their day, which is super cool too. So that's why I always say you don't need to be a full-time content creator to make an impact. You don't even need to log into Instagram every day. You can literally run a simple ad that points people to a landing page that you own and you're done. And this is a game changer for business owners who hate the hamster wheel of daily posting, because instead of worrying about virality, you're creating a consistent flow of the right people into your world. And it's not about numbers, right? It's about quality. So ask yourself, do you want to spend your energy chasing trends, or do you want to build a system that works whether you're logged in or not? And I really want to mention here, you don't even have to have an Instagram account to run an ad on Instagram, for example. right? Like you don't have to have a whole presence. You can literally just run a meta ad if you want. So therefore you never have to post. I've seen people be successful that way. Now, that's not the way I personally do it, but just throwing it out there, like there's so many different levels to this. It's amazing. So all of this being said, I want you to also consider the context of the season that you're in, not just like the quarter of the year, but I'm saying season of life, right? Like different seasons of your life and your business are going to require different levels of showing up. There are some seasons where you can absolutely coast, right? Where you can just rely on the podcast and newsletter and evergreen combo, and that's totally plenty. Like everything I said before has been enough to sustain our business for many moons, right? Like this is exactly what we do most of the time. But anytime that we have the additional energy to or desire to grow, that's when we either increase our ad budget and or we'll do more collaborations, like usually in the form of interviews, right? So like bringing on a guest onto the podcast is such a simple way to get more eyes onto our content because now we're sharing an audience for a brief moment in time. And that is collaboration in action. And then there are seasons where, you know, you might want to grow and you have extra energy and, you know, that's where these more organic strategies like Reels, carousels, and TikToks can really amplify things. So I'm not putting down the content creation season. If you're feeling the energy, the flow, the wisdom, all the things to do the thing, absolutely. We love creating organic content and we'll do that too. And that also funnels people to the podcast beyond just the paid ad. But at the end of the day, regardless of what content we're creating, that initially pulls them in, we nurture through the podcast. So whether it's the podcast ad that brings them in or the podcast itself that keeps them, we're always creating funnels that make sense for the season of life that we're in. And the beauty of this system is that it's flexible. You don't have to do everything all the time. You can decide based on your energy, your goals, and your season. So for me personally, lifestyle richness has always been way more important than hustling. Like I don't want to work more than 20 hours a week just to make ends meet. And especially now that I'm pregnant, like I know I personally really wanted a business model that could support me through maternity without everything falling apart and us as a family, through the whole process. So no client feels the gap, but we can continue to go through these really precious and important stages of life. And that's what this setup has given me and us. Like we barely had to plan for maternity leave. Everything is batch scheduled and still flowing. People might not even notice when I'm not physically present once that time comes because the system is seamless. So here's the part I really want you to remember. There, again, is no one-size-fits-all answer to how much you need to be online. It really is going to depend on you, your goals, your energy, your bandwidth. And some of you love being online. You thrive on Instagram stories. You love TikTok. You love making content every day. Great. That's your lane. Stick to it and kill it. Keep doing the thing. But some of you are like me. You'd rather go deep once a week than let the systems run in the background. That's also great. And I want to mention that I change all the time. Sometimes I want to make a whole bunch of content, and then other times I'm just coasting. Like it is what it is. What matters most is at the very least choosing one thing to be consistent on always, and clarity within that consistency. So your people want to know that you are real. They want to know that you're stable. They don't care if you post every single day. They just want you to show up in a way that feels trustworthy, that they can depend on, right? And one other thing I want to mention, any longtime listener out there is going to know that yes, a lot of times I post on Mondays. Sometimes I post on Tuesdays. Today's an example of I'm posting on a Tuesday. And there have been weeks where I had been unable to post, but then the next week I'll post 2 episodes. So the weekly cadence of generally expecting a week is enough consistency for me and my audience to feel that trust, to feel that connection, right? And I'm a human, I'm going to show it, and I'm going to talk you through why, yeah, sometimes I'm off a day. That's fine. Because overall, I'm always here to deliver the thing that you need. And that's what I want you to take away from this. You just need to create a rhythm that fits your life, right? So you want people to sense that stability. The other thing is that you don't want to waste your energy comparing yourself to bigger brands with huge marketing teams, right? Like a kombucha brand with a staff of 5 social media managers can pump out content every day. You probably can't if you are just a one-man show, and you don't need to. Again, you just need to create a rhythm that fits your life. So, okay, I talked a lot about our specific systems here. There's so much more you can do, and we talk so much more about all of this in depth inside of our Bula Boss program. But in general, I just want you to know, like, if you're asking the question, how much do I need to be online as a non-alc business owner? The real answer is going to be as much as you want to be, but it also has to be enough to feel consistent, connected, and enough to support the goals that you're working towards in this season. So that want can't just be tied to intrinsic motivation. It also that want needs to be tied to your goals, and that includes that consistency and connection, right? So again, for me, that looks like a weekly podcast, a weekly newsletter, and 1 evergreen ad. And that's like my basis. That's the machine. And it's worked beautifully for years. Okay. And then anything else, if you see me do anything else, it's because I have more energy, or we are actively in a period of launching something. But it's not that we have to, it's that we're vibing and we're feeling it. So I hope this episode gave you permission to stop stressing about the algorithm and start thinking about what actually works for you. If you're stressed, you're never going to make good stuff, right? It's better that you make quality over quantity. And if you want to keep this conversation, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Feel free to send me an email, hello@marinamars.com. Definitely sign up for our newsletters and reply there anytime you want. You can go to marinamars.com/contact to sign up. I absolutely read everything and love hearing your takeaways, so do not be shy. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you here next week.